Reds, San Francisco Giants. He was from Cincinnati, Ohio. He's obviously part of the thing called the Troves Sports Den, which we'll get to. And first of all, Scooter, I just want to say thank you for joining our show. It's truly an honor, and we watched you play throughout your career. I don't. Also, I'm hoping there's a comeback for you because I feel like you can still play in the league, and if you're training still, I'm hoping some teams pick you up because you have watching you play, man. You bring that greediness to the team to the game. You're a hard-nosed player. You can play everywhere in the infield, basically, or sometimes outfield. I see. But Scooter, thank you again for joining the show. Truly an honor. And how are you and your family doing today?
We're doing great. What an intro. That was a lot in a short period of time. No, you're right. I can still play. I just I'm not going to play for free in a sense. They were, in my opinion, not offering me enough. But you're right. I still can play. If there's a comeback in there, I don't know. I'm enjoying my life. Me and my family are doing great. I actually have a baby coming here soon.
Oh, wow. Congrats.
Baby boy named Calvin, due in the middle of February. So life is good. I can't complain. I'm blessed and lucky enough to not have to pursue for just the money anymore. Which a lot of guys, they reach a point to where they're trying to pay for, food for their family. And I'm lucky that I've taken care of what I've earned, and a lot of that has to do with my wife telling me not to buy certain things. But no, life is good. Life is good. I can't complain.
Hey, congrats to you both on the baby boy.
Thank you. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about your journey. I want to start off with your childhood growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio, and what was that like growing up there as a kid? And when did you get interested in playing sports? And did you get to play any other sports growing up before choosing baseball? And who would you say your biggest role model was in sports growing up?
Well, I would say, starting off the first part of your question, in Cincinnati, I would go to the Reds games as much as we could afford, me and my family. I went to Riverfront Stadium, and then they changed it. They did some updates, and then it was Synergy Field. But Barry Larkin was always my guy. I would come to the field, and I always dreamed about playing for the Reds. And I had a great childhood. I played multiple sports. I played football, basketball, and baseball. I led my basketball team in rebounds, even though I was the smallest guy. I made the all-star team in football. But then, baseball was always in my heart more than those other two. But I was also realistic, and I was like, man, I'm probably not going to be that tall. So that makes playing in the NBA that much harder. Football wise, I'm not big. I'm not, my legs aren't huge like a lot of these running backs that you see in the league, even though they're not very tall. But, your guys like Marshall Faulk and those players were work done. Those guys were big when I was young. So I was like, I don't see myself being that guy, and I was just honest with myself. I knew baseball was an opportunity for me to get a college scholarship, and we ended up moving down from Cincinnati to Florida, the Sarasota, Florida area, and that was the goal, was just to get better every day, to reach a point to where I could get a college scholarship. And obviously, long story short, I ended up making it to the big leagues, not even going to college. Yeah. I hope to go one day. I still have my scholarship money to go, but I exceeded those goals, and it was all worth it.
Yeah, man. Speaking of basketball, it doesn't matter. To be honest, for basketball, it doesn't matter about height, man. It's about skills. And you see some of these small point guards now, or back in the day, like Muggsy Bogues or whatever.
Yeah, there was one or two. That was the thing. And I was like, there's one or two. There's not, there's 20, 30, 40 in baseball that are under, 5'10". But I just knew at the end of the day, I was small. I was always the smallest kid. I had to work harder than every other player to be able to be good enough to play with them, and then it's like, if I want to end up getting a college scholarship or be better than them, I'm going to have to work that much harder. So that was always in my mind. My dad preached that to me, that, hey, you're not, blessed with size and power. You're going to have to work for it. You're going to have to earn everything you get. And I was down for it. I wasn't scared of that. I actually had parents of teammates of mine when I was younger that would tell me that I should probably quit and I should think about doing something else. And I use that as fuel and as positive. I took it as a positive thing. Like, okay, I'll show you wrong. I'll prove you wrong. And I ended up doing just that. So that was just my demeanor was, I'm not going to quit, not going to give up. And I understood that I need to work harder than a lot of guys because they're just naturally blessed with size or speed or whatever it is.
Yeah, so tell our fans, what was it like moving to Sarasota, Florida with your family, and obviously that's where you started your baseball journey. So tell your process, and what was that like just starting your baseball career in Florida and going through the high school, and take us to that process. And did you get to play any like multiple positions besides second baseman, like pitching or third base? Obviously now you can play multiple positions.
Yeah. So when we moved down to Florida, my dad, he searched the team that just won the AAU state championship, and that was the Sarasota Snappers at that time in my age group. And AAU, I think now it's USSSA or whatever, but AAU was competitive. It was the best competition that you could find, especially in Florida. You have your certain states that are more competitive than others, but in general, there's that national tournament, there's the state tournament, to where those other teams from up north can come down and play. And I'm sure you've seen it. Like, you can only play 20 or so games, 30 games up north. We could play 150 games here. I was playing 100 plus games since I was 10 years old till I retired.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what I was missing. And that's why we moved down. My dad was like, you know what, if you're serious about baseball, I think you are. I think that it's in your heart. I think you're willing to put in the work. So let's move down. Let's see if you can make the best team in the state, in the nation, arguably. And I did. And I wasn't the best player. The coach on the team, his name was Keith Floyd. I ended up being great friends with his son, Zach, who's a great friend to this day. And I remember my first tryout, they were having a practice. Normal practice. It wasn't like a big tryout thing. They were just like, oh yeah, we'll see him play. And they threw me at third base. And this was the year before, actually 2 years before, I think I was 11 or the 11U. I think I was 10, just turning 11, but I was playing 11 under baseball. And so you got a year or two before you're onto the big field. And they had the best player probably in the nation. He was hitting batting practice, and he was 5'8" at the time. His name's Joseph Rapp. He ended up getting drafted by the Giants and playing some pro ball. And unbelievable talent, though, especially at that age. He was hitting 100 home runs a year. Wow. He was hitting balls 350 feet. The fences are only 200 feet. Yeah. So they put me at third base during his batting practice, and he was hitting me just missiles. And I was getting hit by him. I was diving for the ball. I wasn't scared of the ball. I wasn't, I knew that the pain is temporary. So the coach saw that. So he's like, okay, my BP wasn't very good, but he saw my heart. He saw where I was at in a sense of how much I cared about the game. So I made the team. And from there on, it was, and it's tough when you move, it's all new kids, all new teammates, new schools. It's not easy, but the only way that, in my opinion, you get better at anything is to put yourself in vulnerable situations or uncomfortable situations. And when you actually, do well, or you persevere through that experience, I think it adds a lot of confidence to you. I think it gives you a lot of confidence and strength, and especially at a young age, like, oh, I can do this. I can do something new. I can meet new people and find new friends, or I can play on a team and make the team and be a part of a winning team. That was so important for me at that age, especially with my family moving down to, in a sense, try to help me get a college scholarship. There were some pressures there, but at the end of the day, when you're out there playing and you make friends and you're a part of a team, it seems to come easier, after all that gets in place.
Yeah. So this is a two-part question, and tell us about your high school career in Sarasota High School, and then tell our fans the draft process after that. Obviously, you got drafted in 2009 by the Milwaukee Brewers, 16th round. What a great organization is with the Brewers. And for you, just tell us about the high school career and then your draft experience.
Well, that was another reason. I mean, Sarasota High School at the time, they were always in the top, 30 or top 20 or whatever Baseball America was coming out with. So that was the goal, was to ultimately play there or play in Sarasota in general. Was very competitive. So let's see here, my freshman year, where we were living at the time, I was in the Sarasota Riverview district of Sarasota. So I didn't play at Sarasota my freshman year. I played at Riverview.
Yeah.
And I actually ended up making varsity as a freshman, not right away. I think it was the second game of the season I was on varsity.
Right.
And I ended up hitting over 400. I went into it thinking, man, it would be nice to just play varsity this year, but I just busted my butt. I just was going to do the best I could possibly do and get the best out of myself. And I ended up setting their batting average record my freshman year. And the rival was Sarasota High. We played against Sarasota High a few times. And I had a teammate of mine come up to me and say, hey, if you're trying to get better, you need to go to Sarasota. And in order to do that, my family, we had to move. So, and they did. They sacrificed so much for me just to move down to Florida. And then when we moved down to Florida, actually move houses to get me on a team that was more beneficial for me and to be able to get a college scholarship. So my sophomore year, I transferred over to Sarasota High School, and it wasn't easy. I never felt like I was the best player. It was always like, you need to get better. I haven't committed yet. There's no scholarship waiting for me. We ended up winning states my sophomore year, won the 6A state championship, which is the highest class in Florida. I played with quite a few players that ended up getting drafted or playing in the big leagues. Joey Votto, played with the Braves, played with the Pirates a little bit. Casey Kelly, he's been around. He got drafted by the Red Sox. I think he debuted with the Padres. Just a lot of guys. Joe Rapp got drafted. I think everybody on our team either went D1 or got drafted or played at a competitive JUCO. So we were no joke. We were a really good team. We played against American Heritage in high school, where, let's see, their lineup was Eric Hosmer at first base, Yasmani Grandal catching. They had Devin Marrero at short. He's got a lot of big league time. He was one of the best shortstops in the nation at that time. They had 3 or 4 pitchers throwing over 95 with sink. A lot of high schoolers, a lot of amateurs don't experience until they're in a college or in pro ball. But yeah, I mean, my high school experience and just our manager, Clyde Metcalf, he's got over 900 wins now as a high school baseball coach, which is just insane when you think about, the most games we play in high school is about 30 games. So, you just do the math, that's if you win all 30, that's however many years. It's insane. So I was very blessed. I had a lot of people that had experience, whether it was my AU coach or high school coach or the multiple assistant coaches on the team. Just so many good baseball people that were knowledgeable that helped me. And that's why I did what I did. And that's why I made it to where I was, because it wasn't just me. It was the people that were surrounding me, helping me get there. And you have to pursue that as a young player. You have to push yourself. I want to try to make the best team because I'm going to get the best coaching, or I want to play on the best travel ball team because I know that I'm going to be facing the best competition. Whatever it is, you can't shy away from trying to be the best version of yourself. So.
Yeah, so I'm just curious. Tell our fans, obviously, once you got drafted by the Birds in the 16th round, did you ever think to yourself maybe foregoing that and maybe going to college, or were you already set on going to the Milwaukee Brewers from high school?
It's a good question. So I was an out of slot guy, they would call it. So I had 29 teams come to the house. There was only one that didn't, and it was the Baltimore Orioles. And they would have been in if it was up to me. But my dad answered the phone, and the scout said, "Hey, your son's last on my list." I would like to come see him. And my dad said, oh, last on your list. Boom, hung up on him.
Oh.
Which I wasn't happy about. He took it, offensive. But I was like, man, come on. But that was probably a good thing now that I understand the way that their organization works. So all the teams came in, they asked me questions like, where do you see yourself in a few years, blah, blah, blah. I think that they saw that I wanted to play Major League Baseball, that I didn't want, my goal wasn't to win the College World Series, even though that would be great.
Yeah.
My goal was to play Major League Baseball. And I think they knew that I was a pretty signable player. Like if I got drafted, that I would sign. But before the draft, I threw out a pretty big number. I think it kind of scared somebody, not like millions or anything like that, but let's just say like second round money, if not first round money, in there. And I think a lot of teams were like, man, we thought we could get him in like the third round and he would sign for whatever. And so sure enough, second round comes, third round comes, and I don't get the call. And then at that time, like the 14th round to like the 18th round was kind of the window of your out of slot guys, to where you could draft a guy there and you go to the commissioner's office and you say, hey, this guy just slipped for whatever it was, signability. We thought he was signable and then we didn't know. Can we offer him more money? So I ended up signing for about third round money at the time, which in my, where I was in life, financially, I mean, as a 18-year-old, I have no money. That's a lot of money. $260,000 or $70,000 is a lot of money. And I looked at it like this, very simple. I looked at it like, okay, if I go to college, that means there's at least, unless I go to the JUCO route, at least 1 year, 2 years, if not 3 years, that I will be in college. But if I sign in 3 years, I could be in AA. That's the way that I looked at it, because I had confidence in myself. I was like, you know what, I can do this. I can grind. I can play. I know this is what I want to do. So I looked at it like that. Would I rather be coming out 3 years later and going to low A or high A, or sign and be in AA at that time? And that's how I made my decision. And they still, they make it pretty easy. Those scouts know what they're doing. Those teams know what they're doing. If they promise, the parents, or not promise, but in the contract you sign, you have your scholarship money to go to school and graduate even after you're done playing, then what? That's like a no-brainer, right? So I ended up signing, and sure enough, yeah, I mean, it literally, that timetable lined up perfectly. I would have been out of college and about AA, and then that next year I was in the big leagues. So it ended up working out really well. There was it's a roller coaster ride, especially when all of these things you've been doing for years and years and years are finally coming to, and you have to make a decision. And I signed to go to Florida State, signed to go to Florida State. And that would have been awesome. That would have been great. I probably would have ended up going in the first round no matter what. I mean, with that short porch, I probably would have hit 30 home runs, especially with the old bats that they were still using at the time. But yeah, that's my draft story.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously you got called up in 2012, but you spent like 3 or 4 years in the minor leagues. And what was that like for you, getting to learn the game, especially in the minor leagues? And what were the main things that you learned from the minor leagues that got you better? And then once you got that call up?
Oh man, we don't have that much time. I'll have to put it in a nutshell. Well, let me start with this. Like I said before, I was playing 100 plus games every year.
Yeah.
From when I was 10, 11 years old to, basically I got drafted. So for me, the transition wasn't that hard to pro ball. You have spring training and then you play 140 games in the minor leagues. So for me, that's kind of normal. The only thing that wasn't normal about it was that instead of playing 3 or 4 or 5 games a week, we're playing 6 or 7. But I did, obviously, never stop learning in this game. I don't think in any sport you never stop learning. And if you do, then you're probably going to regret it, or you're probably just not that good. I learned a lot. I had some really good people. There's a guy named Bob Messick, who was our infield coordinator when I was with the Brewers, that pushed me every day. He knew that I was an experienced young player that just got drafted coming in. But no matter what, his job is to make every player better. So he would push me. He pushed me. He got me to where I needed to be. It wasn't that I was arrogant or overconfident. It was just he wanted to make sure that we knew that we can always get better, no matter if you feel like you're the best player out here or not. You can get better. There's things that you could do to get better, and you can grind. And but the minor leagues are no fun. Anybody that tells you that they have a good time in the minor leagues has some issues. There's great people. There's great things involved with the minor leagues, but you're not making good money. You're on the road. You're away from your family. You're eating. You're staying at bad places. Just Motel 6s,
Right.
this and that. Now, I was with the Brewers, who were the cheapest team in baseball at that time. They had the lowest salary. Them and the Oakland Athletics were competing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't speak for the Yankees minor league system. I'm sure they're not staying at the crappiest hotels in town, but that was my life for about 2-3 years, was not making good money, not eating good food,
Wow.
not staying at nice places. So I take it as kind of a blessing, because I wanted nothing more than to get to the big leagues and get away from that, So I don't know if that was by design for them or not, but it wasn't fun. It's not normal baseball. You're there to just get better for yourself, so then that team can use you when they want to call you up in the big leagues. So I was always used to winning and being a part of a team, and we're going to play the game the right way. And I quickly realized that they don't give a crap about that.
Right.
They care about developing players and developing big league players, because that's where the money's made at the big league level. That's what they care about. And when I say they, I don't mean your coaches.
Right.
I don't mean your pitching coach, hitting coach. I don't mean them. I mean the guys in the suits in the front office. They could give a crap about you. They want you to perform at the big league level. That's all that they care about. And I get it. I mean, that's where the money's to be made. But I had so many good coaches. I had some really crappy coaches too. The really good coaches didn't listen to everything that they were being told by the front office.
Right.
The bad coaches did. They almost turned into a puppet, to where, like, let's say the big league team can't get down a bunt, and they there's three foul balls, and he doesn't get down the bunt, and they lose the game. That means we're all bunting that day down in the minor leagues, which I hated, because that's not my fault that guy doesn't know how to bunt, right? So that's just how it works, and it's a system that has been, that tire's been rotating for so long, and this is how it works. Obviously there's great things happening nowadays where, you have women coaches, you have women that are hitting coordinators. I mean, it's amazing. Like, those are that's the progress that needs to happen, but also should have happened a long time ago. It's just been there. There's just been such a control of this old school type mindset. And it's not that I don't like it. It's just that until they're forced to do something, they're not going to do it.
Right.
And I think with our society nowadays, their hand has been forced, and rightfully so. So I think a lot of things are changing. This is 10 years ago, but every organization is different. I was a part of an organization that was strict. You had to wear collared shirts into the ballpark, even though we're staying at a Motel 6. All these different little things, rather than just going out there and playing, was what I needed, because I already kind of knew how to play the game. I knew how to treat people with respect. But, when you're a unit, when you're a platoon, everyone has to buy into this sort of way. And it was tough for me. There was a lot of struggles, a lot of calling my parents, a lot of calling friends, a lot of calling my agents, saying, like, could I get traded? Could I get out of here? But at the end of the day, when I look back, I'm glad that I went through those things. And I ended up getting sent down twice after I got called up. And we talk about a hard test. That's the biggest test of them all, when you go from the big league atmosphere and the food and the hotels, and then you get sent down and now you're wearing the big helmet again, and you're not eating good, and it's like, man, the last thing that you want to do is stay there longer than you have to. So just to put it clear, any fans out there that are listening to this, the minor leagues are not easy. And it's going to be a grind from day one till you get to the big leagues, and very few do. But if you're one of those that have confidence in yourself and you're willing to put in the work, then you can do it, just like I did. But I knew that I could put in the work and in my mind, I didn't have another option. So it was either I make it to the big leagues or I'm struggling for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you mentioned women coaches, and obviously we had your friend on, Bianca Smith, last week, and
yeah, she's great, isn't she?
Shout out to her. It was an honor talking to her. She's such an inspiration, and
she is.
I'm hoping more women get more opportunities in this league to be hitting coaches.
Oh, I think they will. They definitely will. Yep, and they should. They should, but they got to know their crap. I mean, if you don't know your SHIT, then you're gone, just like anybody else would be. And for me, when you talk about equality, that's it. If I'm not good at my job, I shouldn't be here. So if they're there, they're qualified, but yet you still have to perform. And in baseball and pro baseball and in most sports, the performing never stops. Like, you can feel like, okay, I'm comfortable, I've been here for a few years, but there's so many people that are going after your job. So, that's one thing. Like, any of those women out there, just because you have long hair and, speak the right thing and talk the hitting lingo, as soon as your team sucks for a couple of years, they might put that on you and you got to look for a new job. So there's just no being comfortable, I guess, in pro baseball.
Yeah, so now, obviously, now you get called up. Actually, you were part of the Futures All-Star game, which is amazing. I feel like that helps a lot of players to being in the Future All-Stars game, and I'm sure that was a great experience for you. And so after that, take us to when you got the call up. Obviously, you made your debut against the Oakland A's, and you got your first hit off of Jesse Chavez, who won the World Series this year. And we had him. Actually, we had Jesse Chavez on the show last year. So,
did you really?
Yeah, last year. Yeah,
he's awesome, isn't he? He's a great guy.
He's amazing. And so for you, just take us to the Futures All-Stars game real quick and your experience there. And then when you got the call up, you got to play with Ricky Weeks, Ryan Braun. A lot of great players, man. So just take us to that.
Wow. Yeah, that period of time, at least when I first originally got called up, was about a year window from the Futures game to getting called up was about a year and a half. And man, what an experience. So I went through a tough year in high A, and it was high. Yeah, it was high A. I got asked to go to the Futures game, maybe double A. I forget, but either way, same thing. Tough year. I didn't think like I did that great. I didn't think I did as good as I could do. And I got the call that I was going to go to the Futures game. And I was kind of in shock because there was like 5 or 6 guys that played better than me that year. But that game, you have your first rounders, you have your big top prospect guys. I wasn't one of those. I ended up, we get to Kansas City and they have our lockers all set up, and I'm in between. Billy Hamilton is to my left in a locker, and Mike Olt, I believe his name was Mike. His last name is Olt, but this guy, so the guy to my right had like 40 home runs at the All-Star break. Wow. And the guy to my left had 100 plus stolen bases. And my locker's in the middle of them, and I'm like, I already am thinking like, man, once the media gets let in, like this is gonna it's just gonna be like, I'm gonna have to not sit at my locker. Let's put it that way. But I'm thinking like, why did they put me in between? Like, really, why not put them right next to each other? So then, the media could have their deal. So the media shows up and like, they're just talking to them too. And I'm just in the middle, and I'm like, I got to get out of here. Like, no one cares about me. So that was kind of it was a humbling experience. Like, I felt so happy that I got invited to go. And then I saw, the main guys that are really in the event. And like, then I got humbled up, and that's just baseball in a nutshell. The minute that you feel like you're really good is like the minute that something or whatever happens, whether it's a slump or somebody just comes up to you like, hey, you're not that good.
Right.
You get humbled up. So there's the highs and the lows. And, that was a good experience for me to kind of realize like, man, I just need to stay in here and just keep playing the game. But what an experience. I mean, the first time I was on a big league field playing, George Brett was our manager.
Yeah.
Hearing him do the pregame speech was something I'll never forget. And then that next year, getting called up, getting the call, the manager called me in and I thought I was in trouble or something. And he was kind of playing a little joke on me. His name is Mike Guerrero, and he told me I was going to the big leagues. And my first call was to my dad. My second call was to my agent. And then my girlfriend at the time, or my wife now, but she's my girlfriend at the time, was the third call. But I was going into a tough situation. So Ricky Weeks, I mean, he's one of the best teammates I've ever played with. Just an incredible human. He's not too far from me. He's from Lakeland area.
He had his brother on the show too, Jamil Weeks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's awesome too. He went to Miami. I actually met him in high school. So just meeting Ricky, I mean, we had some, I could talk about Jamal. I could talk about, whatever with him, Florida baseball. I mean, he was just so open, so willing to help me in any way that he could, even though I was called up because he wasn't hitting too well at the time.
Right.
He's making $10+ million a year. I'm making whatever. And, so there was that awkwardness, but when I was talking to him, it was never there. When I was in the clubhouse, it didn't exist. It just existed in my mind. And, but that was special for me to be able to get up there, and obviously I'm making my debut. It's exciting, but he never made me feel uncomfortable. And he could have been like, hey, this is my job. You're just up here for a little bit. But he definitely could have. But he's a good dude. He's a real one. And I was lucky that he was, because it could have been a tougher experience than it had to be. But no, I got called up. My first at bat, I capped a pitch. I hit the ball off the end of the bat, the cap of the bat, and it just dribbled back to the pitcher. And I get thrown out at first by like 20 feet, and I got a standing ovation. And I remember thinking like, this is the last time I'm going to get a standing ovation for grounding back to the pitcher. And then I ended up going 0 for 12.
Wow.
So just that home series, and seeing Miller Park has the sign in the batter's eye, above the batter's eye, and just seeing a bunch of zeros was tough. I was like, man, I was pressing a little bit, which I think is normal for guys when they first get called up. But then I ended up hitting my first home run off of Bronson Arroyo in Cincinnati, which was the last. Yeah, that was the last time that I was there. Or the last time I was there was before we moved down, going to watch a game. So that was pretty special, kind of weird. And, just, there was a different energy, after that. But I ended up getting sent down batting 252 with like 50 at bats. So I went 0 for 12. So I don't know what I would have been after those 12 at bats, but I have to be batting over 300, maybe 350. And I get sent down, and I'm like, man, like, why? Like, I'm starting to catch my groove, but Ricky was as well. And then I started to learn about the Super 2 and arbitration and all those things. I just organically learned those things. I didn't know them all going into it. You probably don't even want to till it happens. But, I started to realize how the system works and how they do things. And they ended up calling me back up after about a month, which got me probably guaranteed I'm not going to be a Super 2 guy. And they call me back up, and I end up hitting 310 that year. I hit 415 in the month of August, and I didn't get even honorable mention as hitter of the month. I think they gave it to Daniel Murphy. He hit 275 with like 4 or 5 home runs that month, and he got the player of the month, hitter of the month. So I also learned that, hey, if you're not playing for a team that draws or a team that's a bigger market, then people really don't even care.
Right.
So there was a lot to learn in my rookie year, and I'm just so thankful that I went through all that. And it made me the player I was, after that. And that was a player that, hey, I'm just going to give you 100% out there, whatever happens away or in the front office or the media. I can't control that. All I can control is how hard I play and my work ethic and how I treat my teammates.
Yeah, so obviously I mentioned players like Ricky Reese. I forgot Gene Seguria, Ramirez also. But I want to get to one of your teammates, Ryan Braun. What was it like playing with him? And obviously, to be honest, in my opinion, the first ballot Hall of Famer. But for you, what was it like playing with him throughout your career?
Well, I'll tell you right now, he's a fabulous guy. I mean, he's takes time to sign autographs. He's a great father, cares about his family, his kids. I went in, my first year was a tough time for him. That was when he failed the drug test, and then it came out that the person didn't drop it off, and then this and that, and this and that. Just a lot of noise, really, with the media. But to see someone work through that, to see someone, geez, I got a wasp flying in front of my face. To see somebody be able to work through that, all the distractions, all the booing, it was special to see how he got through that, and to see how the level of his focus when he was going to the plate in Philly, when he's getting booed, getting yelled, people calling out things and whatever it was. But he got through that, and the way he did it was so professional. But I got a chance to learn a lot from Ryan, and yeah, we still talk, we still communicate. He's a great guy. He's got a beautiful family. But yeah, we had him, Ricky Weeks, Kyle Loesch, Francisco Rodriguez, K-Rod, Maldonado, LaCroix. We had a great team. Some old, some young. It was a good mix. But man, I've learned. I was the type of person that I tried to learn as much as I could from everybody, because we're all there. I mean, it's amazing that we're all in the big leagues, right? Like, the chances of doing that is crazy. So there's got to be a common thing between us all, and that was kind of what I always try to search for through every guy was, how'd you get here? What's your story? I try to talk to all my teammates to try to get to know them and know where they come from, and how tough they might have had it, or how blessed and lucky they are. Whatever it is, it's like, until you ask them, until you get to know them, it doesn't make sense. So that was always my goal, was to get to know all my teammates and know their path in life, and how they got to where they are, and also share that common thing, that we're all so blessed and so lucky to be here.
Yeah, so now moving on from your Brewers career, you got to go back home to play for the Reds, the team that you watched growing up. And what was that like for you playing for your hometown team? Obviously, you got to play with Joey Votto. You played with Luis Castillo, Billy Hamilton, Tucker Barnhart, and I can go down the list. Suarez, Cozart. What was it like just going back home and playing for that team?
Well, it was crazy. So I got called off the field in spring training. It was like the last day, or maybe 2 days left of spring training, and they said that, go to the manager's office. And I'm like, all right, well, this has never happened. So I'm either traded, released, or something happened, whether it's family related or what. So I'm like worried. And I get in the office, and there's the GM, there's the assistant GM, manager. So I'm like, all right, I'm getting traded or whatever. And they go, you got DFA'd. And I'm like, DFA'd? What does that mean? And I've heard it before, just didn't know what it meant. And they're like, we're releasing you. I'm like, releasing me? And they're like, but you're getting picked up by the Cincinnati Reds, so you're now a Cincinnati Red. And I'm like I thought for a second I was dreaming, like honestly thought I was dreaming. So I kind of like gave it that little shake, and I was like, you guys serious? And they're like, yes. They're like, it's been a pleasure, whatever. So I had no idea at all before that. So it was a shock to me. I thought I was dreaming for the first 10, 15 minutes. I thought I was kind of like, well, whatever, not taking it serious. And then it got real. I'm saying goodbye to people, saying goodbye to clubbies, you know, there's emotion there. I mean, I've been with them for 6 years, 7 years. You know, you create some good friendships, good relationships. And it was a sad time. And then for about an hour, and then I get all my stuff and I'm heading to Goodyear, and it's like first day of school, you know? So those emotions went from like sad to like,
Right.
I got to find joy in this and be like, I can't be showing up all depressed and all sad and meet my teammates before we go and play as, you know, a full season.
Oh, that
You
was
see
again.
anything?
Oh, that is crazy.
But yeah, so, you know, I get to the clubhouse and meeting guys, meeting Billy Hamilton, Kozar, Joey Votto. It was just such a rush. The game started in a little bit. I ended up hitting a home run, my one at bat I had before we left for the season off Andrew Miller.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, like I just like it. So I'm definitely a man of faith. And I think God presents himself to people at different times, different places in their life. Some of us are lucky to have him in our life from birth, or just raised in it, which I was. But that was one of those moments. I just felt, I felt him kind of reaching out like, hey, this is one of those moments that you might not get again. But a special moment. And I think it's so important when those moments happen in your life to recognize them for what they are and not just coincidence or not just, you know, something that just happened or luck. But that day was special because I ended up getting my first tattoo. The only tattoo that I got, 2 Timothy 1:7, which says God gave us a spirit, not of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. I had that scheduled for months. And so happened I had to stop in and get that tattoo in between getting released from the Brewers and going to meet my new team with the Reds.
Yeah.
My dad just so happened to be out there so he could take my truck and drive it to Cincinnati. There was just so many things. It was so fascinating looking back on how many weird coincidences, you know, or just in my opinion, God reaching out to me and saying, hey, this is it. This is your dream that you've always had and it's happening. You know, and then leading into that, you know, I end up hitting off the bench, hitting a game tying home run, an opening day at Great America Ballpark, and then the 4 home run game and all that. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah, I felt like that your career started to jump when you got to Cincinnati, playing for your hometown. And I'm just curious because obviously you were an all-star in 18 also. But for you, do you think by players going back to the hometown, do you think that gives them an extra juice of flavor, knowing that you're back home and knowing the familiar like faces or the city, or does that give players an extra juice like for yourself?
I mean, I think so. I think whenever you're, I mean, it's hard to say. For me, I don't think it gave me like some extra strength. I think it just, I was comfortable, you know. I was able to see family. I was able to see things that I saw when I was younger. You know, my mind wasn't just solely pressure. I need to perform today. There was healthy distractions. I wasn't getting like, you know, it wasn't home like I was getting home cooked meals from my mom or anything like that. But you know, it was just one of those moments where it was like, wow, I'm actually playing for the Reds. Like that was my goal since I was 4 or 5 years old. My favorite player is Barry Larkin. I mean, getting to work with Barry Larkin in spring training and just he's just one of my coaches now. Like it was just all so surreal and you know, I was just so thankful and just felt so blessed and I am. And I think we all are. It's just it wasn't easy. You know, they say like when it was, I forget whose quote it is, maybe Warren Buffett. It's like when someone sees a pregnant lady, they're like, oh, congratulations. But they don't know how many times
Right.
she, did it to
Yeah.
have that baby.
Yeah.
Like it's probably not the first time, it's probably a lot of efforts, a lot of challenges, a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I was at, like the top of my career, my life, and a point of spirituality,
Right.
performance, my athletic ability, all of it was peaking. And I'm just so lucky to be able to see it through a clear filter of what it is. And but that's not discrediting myself. That's not saying I didn't work hard. That's not saying that I wasn't lucky enough to have a great family, great parents, great people around me helping me every day. But that was all my emotions when I got over there was, wow, like how do I now my goal, like I was on the bench when I got over with the Reds. So my main goal was, it was very simple that year, was how do I, one, meet all my teammates and get to know them all, and two, how can I be the best teammate I can be?
Right.
So that was my goal for the rest of my career, was how can I be the best teammate I can be? And then I start hitting that was my focus when I was with the Brewers. It was, I need to do really good so I can be in the lineup tomorrow or the next day, or not get sent down. I need to do really, it was all performance. And then my whole focus shifted to how can I be the best teammate? One, prepare myself for the game, which is being a good teammate, but two, actually be there for my teammates and be the best I can be as a teammate. And it's amazing that all of a sudden then I start hitting well, I start playing well. All those things kind of fall into place after that.
Yeah, that four home run game was crazy, man. By you, that was awesome to watch. And
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and also like Joey Votto, he's another great out there. You got Ryan Braun, and now you got to play with Joey Votto, and this guy's going to go down as one of the best first basemen, best hitters in the game. So what was it like?
Yep.
What was it like learning from him also in the infield throughout your career?
It was great. So me and Joey, we actually shared a locker for my whole time with the Reds. So we were right next to each other. So I was able to, not only see him on the field, see his pregame work, but I was able to see him getting to the field and leaving and dealing with the media and all that stuff. So I really got to know him in that short period of time. And I mean, I can't say enough about him as a person, as a player. I just wish a lot of other people would have gotten the experience I got to be able to see the real Joey Votto. When we're out in the field, we're told not to show emotion, not to be ourselves, not to do all of these things, that we just have to be a robot in a sense. That's what they would want, is just someone that doesn't argue balls and strikes, that doesn't create negative attention or whatever, just hit, play, leave. And your franchise guys, those are the guys that they really try to groom, like, hey, don't say this in the media, don't do this. But like Joey, as a person, is so kind, so giving. He doesn't have a TV camera crew like a lot of these famous athletes have every time he goes and helps people in the community, which pisses me off. He's done so many things that I don't even want to say, because I think he might be mad at me because I'm saying that he did them, but a little example I can give you is he had a van that he was driving to the stadium. And I know it's kind of funny. I mean, he's a pro ball player making $20-30 million a year, and he's driving a van. Well, that was just him. Yeah. And he was like, you know what? I'm done with this van. I think I'm going to get a Tesla. And I'm like, that's probably the best. That's more normal for him just being a Tesla than a van, right? So I'm supportive of that. He's like, what should I do with my van? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, you could sell it. And he's like, like, what's the point? Type of deal. And I'm like, well, there's got to be a school around here that has driver's ed, right? Like the class you could take and you drive the car around. And He's like, that's a really good idea. And that's what ended up happening. He ended up just driving that van into like some school that had a driver's ed program and donated the van to their program and left. And no one found out about it. And that's just him. That he's done so many awesome things like that. But when it comes to baseball, me and him would compete on like who's going to work harder today, in a sense. Like when we're on the field, hard work, not so much in the weight room or the training room, even though we do that too, but like on the field during batting practice, me and him would be at first and second. We hit in the same group. So we would have, it was me, Kozar, Suarez, and Joey Votto in group 2. So we were out there for ground balls. So what do we do in that 10 minutes that we have to work? So we would go infield in, we'd be diving for balls. He was the only one that could really compete with me when it came to working hard in baseball related activities. And I'll never forget that, because he's the only one that I can think of that could actually compete with me and outdo me sometimes. And I just respected that so much, because he's the franchise guy. He doesn't need to be doing those things. He's going to make his money no matter what. Right. So why is he out there diving, getting dirty in batting practice? It's because that's what he wants to do. He loves the game. He's trying to be the best he can for himself, the city, Reds Nation, all of it. So it was just so impressive. And so it was just a breath of fresh air to play with Joey Votto, because I've been around guys that make a lot of money. I've heard stories about guys and they just don't give a crap anymore. They make their money and they're like, I don't care. You know, what? They still have to pay me. It's like, no, that's not the person I am. That's not the person that when I was little, when I was dreaming about playing, that I thought I would be. So I've been kind of soured to a lot. So when I was able to play with Joey Votto and experience that, Zach Kozar worked hard. I mean, just the Reds were, it was normal baseball for me. When I was with the Brewers, it was, we're going to be this type of way. We're going to do this. We're going to do things this way. When I go over to the Reds, Brian Price was like, dude, just go play.
Yeah.
Like, do your thing. And I'm like, really? And then all of a sudden I start playing well, and, the rest is history in that sense. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Like I said, every organization is different. And I can only speak for the ones that I've played for.
Yeah. You the one thing I can tell about your career, you never gave up, man. You kept going, and look where you're at right now. But obviously your third team was the San Francisco Giants, another awesome place to play in. And obviously you got to play with Will Smith, World Series champion this year with the Braves, and you got to play with Buster Posey, who just retired. He's gonna go down as one of the best catchers. So what was that like playing with Brandon Crawford, Braden Belt, coming to San Francisco, the West Coast?
I would say the first thing was I was only over there for a couple months, and then they sent me home, which I didn't blame them, because I wasn't completely healthy. I wasn't completely the player that I could be today, or I was before that. I think I rushed back a little bit, but that was all on me. It wasn't the trainers, it was me rushing back and me wanting to play. But the first thing I can tell you is it makes sense why they win. And why they won those World Series in that window that they did, why they had a successful season last year, why they kind of just come out of nowhere. It makes sense because all of those guys love each other over there. They are a team. They're the perfect example of a team, and a team that maybe doesn't have the most talented players, or obviously Buster Posey, these names you're talking about are good players, but I'm talking about, there was a year they won the World Series and their team average was like below 240 or something. And their pitching was like, not like you would think if you're not hitting good, then your pitching has to be really good. It was just kind of average. But they won ball games. They win those 1-run games. And it's because, one, they've been there before, but it's just, they've collectively, their key guys, Crawford, Belt, Posey, you're talking about your shortstop, first baseman, catcher. those are pretty important positions, right? And they've just been so consistent. They've had the same guys there for years, and they know each other so well. They spend the time on going out and getting to know the newer players. Or, you got Pablo Sandoval, who ended up coming back to them and trying to make a run. It's like they are the perfect example of when a team buys into being a team, you can win. And I realized that right away. I was like, wow, I need to try to, it was just so new to me that was the priority, was that we're a team, we're together, we're doing things together as a team. And we don't care if you go 0 for 4 tonight. If you make a nice play out in the field, you did your job. You're playing the next day. That was new to me. For me, it was always kind of, you got to perform to earn the right to play. And for them, it was like, we're going to give you your shot. If you guys suck for a month, then maybe we make some moves. But if we're winning, we're keeping the same thing. So that was, again, a breath of fresh air for me to see that. And obviously Bruce Bochy, I mean, you're talking about a legend manager. I got a chance to get to know him a little bit before I went over there, a year or two before. And I was like, man, he would be a fun guy to play for. He doesn't care about anything else other than winning. I mean, he obviously does. He cares about us, but if you're winning, let's keep it going. And that was just a breath of fresh air, because that was what I was used to before pro ball. And then you talk about their actual funds and the fact that you can go in the locker room and go to the clubhouse guy and be like, oh, I want a couple shirts. And it's like, oh, here's 20, their finances, they weren't hurting. Let's just put it that way. Like my other teams I played for. So that was also a breath of fresh air. But no, it was, I definitely learned a lot in that short period of time. I got to meet a lot of great people, got to meet Willie Mays, Barry Bonds. I mean, just a lot of legends in the game. And I just wish I was healthier than I was, so I could actually contribute. They were trying to make a playoff push, and I just wasn't 100%, but no, again, I'm so blessed to be able to play and just be in that locker room for one day, let alone a couple months.
Yeah. So before we get to the Troves Sports Den, and I want to ask you two things here before we get to that. So the first part of this, what would you say the toughest pitcher that you had to face so far in your career? And the next part to this, tell our fans about your training routine now and what you've been working on. And if you do get that opportunity to come back in the league, and just take us to that process also.
Well, I still make sure I can hit, throw, and run. So in a sense, whenever I get an offer, give me a month or two and I'll be ready to go. But other than that, the Troves Sports Den, great guy named Adam. He's been doing the memorabilia stuff for quite some time now, 20, 30 years. He's done signings in areas. He's done auctions. He does it all. But recently he came up with doing mail-in signings. So that's kind of how I met him, was through another guy that did it. And it's like, you get a box in the mail, you sign the autographs, send it out, you get a check. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't, necessarily like doing it for the money. I'm good in a sense of making money. I'm more trying to get my time back, whether it's doing free baseball lessons or coaching and doing that kind of stuff. And when it comes to my own autograph and stuff like that, I would rather make money for certain charities. So I threw that idea out there to him, and he loved it. And he's literally me, him, and Ryan Labarnway is a little bit involved, play with him with the Reds. And he liked the idea to one time a year, let's start an annual before Christmas memorabilia charity auction. And it's already in process. And I think it ends on December 12th or somewhere around there, to where we have time to be able to send the stuff to the people that buy it or win the auctions before Christmas. But it's awesome. So all the money goes to 3 charities that we're doing this year. And one of them is Mind Up, which is a computer program basically for kids in school certain schools have it. I hope that every school will have it, but it's a computer program that teaches the kids about mental health and how to, learn more about their emotions and to be able to ask for help when necessary. But definitely check that out. Mind Up's amazing. Goldie Hawn, her foundation actually started it. And I've been doing some stuff with them for a few years, but I just really think it's something that is very important. And Mind Up is that computer program. And the other one, let's see here, we got One Child, which go to onechild.org. I think their Instagram is One Child Matters. But basically that's anything from being able to pay for kids' school books over in Africa, their uniforms, their food for the whole year. Local church that I go to, Bayside, they're building a church over there, trying to teach them about God and all that good stuff. Yeah. And then the third one's Toys for Tots, which obviously we all should know what Toys for Tots is, but given it's Christmas time, we felt like we should be throwing them in the mix. So next year might be different. Definitely hoping to keep Mind Up and One Child in there, but we're just this is the first year we're doing it, and it's going well so far. We have some pretty decent funds raised, and we're just wanting to make things go as smooth as possible this year to where next year we can actually show what we've done and how much money we raised and how many kids, got to get presents or got to get uniforms and books and show all those pictures and fun stuff like that.
Well, that's amazing. And speaking of that's amazing what you guys are doing. And if you need help, me and my team are willing to help you guys to put this into the next level. So if you guys need help, just let us know. Me and my team are always wanting to help the community. We're also part of a foundation, which I'll tell you about. But so if you guys need help in any other way, we can. Me and my team are willing to help you guys.
Hey, the biggest thing, like you already know, is just awareness and letting people know that this is out there. And really, our target audience are people that like to collect memorabilia, and so sports fans. I mean, anything sports related. And we have, let's see, a few sports guys. I don't want to throw any guys out there too soon, but there's commitments from the one of the Gronkowskis. We got Incognito gonna send something. Don't have any basketball guys yet. I got NASCAR. I got Dale Earnhardt Jr. sent some gloves. Nice. Hopefully Austin Dillon. Just a lot of different stuff. I'm trying to, get outside of just the baseball world and try to see if other players want to join in and just see how it's not easy, but it's simple. If you want to send something to me, I send it to him, he puts it on his thing, and then boom, we raise money for kids. And no one makes any money from it other than those charities. And that's hard to find. And going through me, and, I think maybe people are like, okay, I think he's got enough money. Why would he be doing this? I think that's something that I think about when I go to donate, so it's hard to find charities that are actually doing what they say they're going to do.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so also my father does a lot of work in Africa too, with the
nice.
kids, and also Chris Long, if you know him, former Eagle, does there, and then Malcolm Brogdon, NBA player, he does work there too. So maybe you should get connected with them to help you out too also.
Absolutely. And like I said, there's a lot of guys that do amazing things that don't want any credit.
Yeah.
And I don't either, but sometimes you have to use your platform to do some special things. And this is kind of that rare occurrence where I'm trying to get it out there and let people know that, hey, I don't want to be doing all this stuff and get my face out there and be tweeting and Instagramming. But when it comes to helping out kids, that's our future. That's our our life support in this world is our youth and our future. So, that'll get me, that'll get me on Zoom or on whatever else it may be to try to help them out.
Yeah. So a couple more things here before I let you go. Who was, you forgot to say, who was the toughest pitcher that you faced?
Oh yeah. Felix Hernandez was pretty tough. I mean, every pitch looked the same and just did different
Yeah.
stuff. I always struggled against guys that had like 6 pitches that could command it. It didn't matter if it was 100 to me or if it was 80. I would rather face a guy throwing 100 because I knew he would try to throw me a fastball. But guys like Mike Leake. Mike Leake was tough, and he's not a Felix Hernandez type of guy, but I mean, just really tough pitcher to face for me. But yeah, I would say Felix Hernandez is one of the toughest. And yeah, man, playing like best player I played with. Yeah, Joey Votto, Braun was great. I played with so many good players, but Joey Votto, I would say, is definitely the clear Hall of Famer out of all those. I mean, Aramis Ramirez, incredible career. He's him, Ryan Braun. There's a lot of guys that I play with that are probably end up being in the Hall of Fame, but the clear one to me is Joey. And like I said, it doesn't happen just by chance and luck. I mean, he works hard and he cares. So that's why who knows? He's doing some Benjamin Button type deal with his career. So he's like, we thought he peaked, and then now he went here, and then now he's back up, arguably doing better than he's ever done in his career. So it's just amazing to see. I'm so happy for him, and I hope he keeps doing it.
Yeah. So before we get to the last few things, I'm going to put a recruitment thing for you out there. So teams, now I'm going to be off season. There's a lot of free agents out there, but there's a guy named Scooter Gennett. I'm a big Yankee fan. And a couple of my friends during the past years, when you were with Cincinnati and during the trade deadlines, me and my friends was trying to get the Yankees to get Scooter Gennett to the Yankees, but that never happened. But man, Brian Cashman or some other team, go out there and get Scooter Gennett, man. This guy, he can still play. If you need a player that brings winning mentality to the team, go get that guy, Scooter Gennett, man. This guy, he plays the ball, plays the game hard, a great hitter. Like I said, he can still play, and hopefully some teams can give you an offer this offseason.
Well, I appreciate that. It's not necessary, but I appreciate you throwing that out there. They know. They just got to pay me because I'm not a puppet like they're used to controlling out there. Yeah. So, and they don't like that. There's some teams that don't mind, but at the end of the day, those white collar guys up in the office that are they don't care about you. They care about making money and and saving money. So a player like me, I'm not cheap, but hey, if you want to open up your wallet, you want a 300 hitter and somebody that's going to be a good clubhouse guy, I'm here. I'm ready to go.
Yeah. So the last two things here, our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach, but now he's the offensive coordinator at Tennessee State with Eddie George. We're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe, the kids stay safe. So that's our main goal, is to stop human trafficking.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'll send you the foundations to you so you and your wife can check it out, and then the rest of your team can check it out.
Absolutely. And my brother-in-law, Andy, his brother Adam LaRoche, he has the E3 Foundation, and they've been doing the human trafficking thing for quite a while. So I would definitely reach out to them. I think they might be able to, if not help, or at least share some type of ideas to maybe help the foundation grow even more. They've been doing it for a while, and they actually do some really cool stuff. They go overseas and they bring people back, they get them into rehab programs or whatever it is. But yeah, definitely check them out. And we'll definitely like to help you and your, wherever your heart's with the charity out. And that's what it's about, man. Networking. That's what I'm starting to learn now, using the people in your circle and using it for good, not for selfish things. Right. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll definitely reach out to them. And speaking of coaches, Andy LaRoche is big. I mean, Adam LaRoche is big in hunting now. It's crazy.
Oh yeah. He's been for a while. Him and a few of the country singers, Chipper Jones. They started the Buck Commander and all that. Yeah, they. If you want to go hunt, schedule a hunt. Definitely reach out to them.
Yeah. So the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the essential workers right now?
Oh yeah, thank you. I mean, in general, right now, COVID, before that, thank you. Without you, we wouldn't be living our free blessed life that we're living. And that ultimately that's what the United States is all about, is being free and being able to achieve whatever you're willing to work for. And without them, we wouldn't be able to do that. So I know it's tough times with the COVID and stuff, but even before then, they're so amazing, and I can't be any more thankful to have them.
Yeah, well said. There it is. That wraps up episode 932 with free agent MLB second baseman Scooter Gennett. Go follow him.
Me.
Go follow him on all social media formats. Go check out his page, the Troves Sports Den. That's really important, helping out the community, kids, and go check that out. They just started that, so go help them out. Go check that out. We're willing to help him out. So I just want to say thank you again, Scooter, for coming on the show. This is truly an honor. I learned a lot today. Your story is amazing. Keep up the great work. Like I said, pay this man. Hopefully he get another chance. But
I'm good. I promise. I'm good.
But keep up the great work, and we'll stay connected. And congrats again to you guys on your baby boy, and you stay safe.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. God bless to you and to all the people out there that tuned in. Life is good. Just got to enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you.